This guy goes, I do 100 milligrams of propionate every other day, 6.25 milligrams aromasin the day I inject, 50 milligrams Clomid on days I inject, 25 milligrams Proviron every day. Been on this protocol a year. Test is 1,200 to 1,300. Estradiol lands around 20. Libido is great and erections on and off all night. God, that's a hell of a protocol. And look, sometimes these seemingly like superfluous protocols actually work really well for people because they get enough DHT and estrogen is controlled. And they've got functional testicles. Again, the recipe for good sexual function on TRT. But I want to break down one particular protocol and let's sort of just kind of break down the science of it, what exactly is happening, all the different factors, like obviously responds to an AI. Not everyone can do that. To give people some insight, like if you want to try to push the limit and be running what ultimately in this case is 350 milligrams a week of testosterone, you can do that. But you've got to be surgical with the add-ons. So let's break it down. An insane TRT protocol, not for the faint of heart, but that could give you the best sexual function of a lifetime. All right, boys, before we start the video, look, Cortex Labs, which is my company, is a TRT guidance, sexual dysfunction resolution, performance optimization company. Major announcements. Again, coaching 50% off. This will save you thousands of dollars on the one-on-one coaching with me, specifically for dialing in libido and erections, whether TRT, PFS, HRT in general, cycles, and more. Enter the code COACHDISCOUNT at checkout. It will take thousands of dollars off of any coaching program that you want to execute. Best part is when you book, I'm reaching right out to you. We're getting on the fact-finding call within 24 hours or sooner. And then we hit the ground running. 50% off all coaching right now. Source list. If you want to go at it alone, get every compound imaginable, including high potency DHT, just get the source list. It's 30% off right now. The code is SOURCE30. You get all that stuff down in the description of this video. All right, so I want to take you to YouTube real quick, and let's just highlight this comment. Okay, this was on a video that I did titled The Best Dose of Test Prop for Proper Sexual Function and the Estrogen Goldilocks Zone, in which I described 15 to 25 milligrams of prop a day is that zone where you really don't have to mess with an AI if you can get the dose right. But in the comment section, I got this comment, and this guy highlights one of these crazy TRT protocols with a lot of ancillaries that just ends up working and gives you everything you want. You want to be able to, if you can, have your cake and eat it too. Like high doses of test, maybe some cool add-ons, you're super anabolic, you're very masculine because you got Proviron in the mix, but estrogen is controlled too, and your erections and libido are great. If you can do that, do that. I've been on many high-dose protocols, including the cycle I ran last summer, and my sexual function was good because I was doing all the rest of the right stuff. It's just convoluted and difficult to maintain. Let's look at this protocol, all right? Guy goes, I do 100 milligrams propionate every other day, 6.25 milligrams aromasin the days I inject, so that's every other day, 50 milligrams of Clomid the day that I inject, that's every other day, 25 milligrams Proviron regardless every day. He goes, I've been on this protocol for a year. Test is 1,200 to 1,300. Estradiol, this is really important, lands at 20, around 20. Libido is great and erections on and off all night. Blood work is damn near perfect. I'm in the best shape of my life at 54 years old. This guy figured out how to have his cake and eat it too. Fucking congrats, dude. I always say, using conditional logic, for those of you that think I'm making blanket statements when I'm not, if you can't tolerate higher doses with an aromatase inhibitor, then you go down to the 100 to 120 milligram dose range, somewhere around there. You get a little bit of HED, a little DHEA. See if you have enough DHT, add DHT. If you don't, keep it the same if it is, and you ride off into the sunset. But it's always conditioned with if you can't tolerate high doses with an AI. Because if you absolutely can tolerate higher doses of testosterone, but you can control estrogen with an estrogen control agent, life is going to be better than on lower doses. You're going to be more anabolic, you're going to feel fucking strong as hell. You're going to go to the gym 6-7 days a week and crush it and recover instantly. You'll have even more DHT, more AR binding, more blood flow in the penis. Like, things are just going to be fucking rocking it. If you can dial in at those higher doses, more power to you. It is awesome. It feels great and everything works great. let's break this protocol down and try to figure out why it works. All right, so you got 100 milligrams propionate every other day. That is 50 milligrams a day. This is a total of 350 milligrams of testosterone a week. Every other day, though, he's running 6.25 milligrams of aromasin. That's every other day. Now, aromasin doesn't, it kills mostly aromatase enzymes within the first 24 hours, but that estrogen reduction has a carryover effect. So you're really talking about 4 or 5 days, and at which point you usually have to dose it again. So he's running it every other day, but at just enough of a low enough dose, considering the peak in estradiol that test prop is inducing at 100 milligrams at a time, to where it lands the estrogen in the sweet spot, 20 to 30 is where folks are going to find the best sexual function. That 100 milligrams propionate every other day, there is a significant DHT conversion from test prop to the point where if you've got bad genes or if you have okay genes, either way, it could fry your hair when you're dosing lots of prop. But the DHT is so strong. When I was running 70 milligrams a day with 3 pumps of cream every day, and obviously controlling estrogen because estrogen was a little too high, my erections were out of control. So substantial peak in dihydrotestosterone. That is what you need for erections and libido. Now, the Clomid, okay, let's just talk about the Clomid. There's 50 milligrams of Clomid on the days he injects, which is every other day. Clomid is an estrogen receptor antagonist, particularly in the pituitary gland, so it keeps the testicles functional via telling you don't have enough estrogen, via blocking the estrogen receptors. So guys got functional testicles, which again is a critical part of dialing in perfectly on TRT. All that 5-alpha reductase in the seminal vesicles, the epididymis, the penis itself, generally in the testicles, very necessary for proper sexual function, especially sensation, boys. I am not the biggest fan of Clomid. I think longer term, there can be some negative consequences to that. There are a lot of people that report blurry vision or otherwise ocular negatives that come from the use of Clomid. There's a rare chance, but still enough of a chance to be a little worried that you could have a blood clot from taking Clomid via blocking the estrogen receptors. And generally speaking, it's just not a drug that I would want to take. It's more of a PCT drug. If you're on test, if you're on a cycle, and you're trying to get back to your natural self, you run some Clomid, get your natural functioning back, and then move on with your life. And in those cases, people are running, 25 milligrams a day. This guy's running that 50 milligrams every other day. The bottom line is, if it works, it works. This is obviously working for this dude. Let's talk about the Proviron, okay? So as if the 6.25 milligrams of aromasin every other day wasn't enough, which it definitely is, and as if the DHT that he's infusing via 100 milligrams of prop at a time, which is a lot of dihydrotestosterone, wasn't enough, he's got 25 milligrams Proviron every day. Now, what is that even doing in this case? Well, I think what it's doing is it's acting like more DHT, yet more DHT, at the androgen receptor level, albeit at a little bit of a less potency. It might be, reducing estradiol 5 points or so. Again, it's negligible at 25 milligram dose, especially on high doses of testosterone. But, it has an effect on the androgen receptors, which kind of keeps the binding domains, which foster all the gene expression, very, very healthy. In fact, Proviron or Mysterolin has the ability to fix mutated androgen receptors. Mostly, though, Proviron at this dose in this context is probably providing a physique benefit via less subcutaneous water in the tissue. So I bet that dude, as long as he's lean, looks very vascular, shoulders look very round. A DHT and DHT derivatives like Proviron really do have a profound effect on your physique, man. Every single time I run Proviron, my body changes. My body starts changing in days. If I'm running it for a month or more, fuck. I look lean as hell, vascular as hell. My shoulders are rounder. I got a really, really cool masculine look. My voice gets deeper. Everything about me just changes for the positive, except for it does mess with my hair a little bit. All right, let's talk about the libido and erections, right? That is what we talk about primarily on this channel. Let's talk about how this protocol is facilitating that. Again, 100 milligrams of prop. That's all the DHT you're ever going to need, boys. It's so much DHT that, again, people are usually going to see some degree of hair loss on higher doses of prop like that. I know that I did. But the golden rule is, okay, if you have enough DHT, but estrogen is in range, your Goldilocks zone, and the testicles are functional, you're going to have a stellar time, especially around libido and erections on HRT. So this guy figured that out. He figured out how to get enough DHT. That's pretty much covered with the prop and a little bit with the Proviron. I mean, that's a lot of test prop. So got that covered. 50 milligrams Clomid every other day, right, on injection days. So that's got the testicular function totally covered. I mean, that's your natural production. That's as close as you're going to get. I think probably a little more optimal in terms of testicular function compared to HCG, but generally HCG is a better drug than Clomid via the side effects, among other things. Critically, 6.25 milligrams of Aromacin every other day. Again, that's not a super high dose of Aromacin. Generally, if people are very sensitive to AIs, any degree of AI is just going to be too much, right? They're going to unevenly distribute estrogen in the tissue. You're going to have fucking joint pain. It might kill their libido and kill their dick. But, you know, this is one of those lucky guys that can have his cake and eat it too, can be on the higher doses of test. And all he's doing is using an aromatase inhibitor here, and it's doing what it is intended to do in a way which doesn't cause side effects and cause an uneven distribution of estrogen at the tissue. So he ends up with estrogen in the Goldilocks zone again, 20, 25 picograms per milliliter. You know, test is up there at 1,300. It's like kind of on the low end, frankly, for prop. I think one of the things that's benefiting this guy is he's not like peaking everything so substantially high, at least estradiol. The Clomid, I really don't see how Clomid would be affecting sexual function other than like in its own mechanistic way, other than to keep the testicles functional. Again, you'd be hard pressed to find a guy that has perfect sexual function on TRT, including load size and sensation and climax sensation and all those dynamics, that doesn't have functional testes. And again, you know, 25 milligrams per Proviron. Whether it's lowering E2 a little bit, it's lowering SHBG, causing some more free hormones, acting at the ARs, optimizing them, acting as DHT, all pro-sexual in the context of a protocol that works for you. And in the end, because he's not actually crushing the estrogen down to oblivion, you know, 10 to 12 to 13 picograms per milliliter, it's at 20, around 20, right? So that probably 20 to 25, might go up to 27 or it's, as long as it stays in that narrow window, you're generally good. So as a result, blood work looks okay. You know, no lipid disorders, no dysregulated liver enzymes, no wacky shit going on. Guy's healthy. Bottom line is this: very few people can take such high doses of testosterone and not manage metabolites, specifically estradiol. There are a few. There are these anomalies that can inject 200 milligrams of cypionate once a week. Their dick works great. Their libido's killer all week. They never have lapses in energy. They're just metabolizing the test the right way. And, you know, if they're sitting at 55 picograms per milliliter of estradiol, it's not bothering them. That is rare for that to happen, but there are lucky individuals that can dose those higher doses. But for everybody else, this is where surgical protocol design comes in. Like, I've designed protocols like this minus the Clomid for people for years and years. I mean, these are guys that just don't want to be at the lower doses of prop, 20 a day, or at the lower doses of cypionate, you know, 14, 15, 16 milligrams a day. They don't want to do that. They feel like dog shit down there. They'd rather have the anabolism, the confidence, the masculinity, and the ability to go to gym 7 days a week and crush it. So in those cases, I've got to, as a coach, from a protocol design perspective, craft protocols somewhat similar to this, where you've got a high dose of the androgen, you've got the right dose of the aromatase inhibitor or DHT derivative, lowering estrogen into the sweet spot, you're keeping the testicles functional, and then these people get the anabolism, the energy, all the good kind of male stuff, the masculinity, the voice deepening. You just feel like an absolute animal when you're on higher levels of androgens. But sexual function's good too. That's having your cake, the higher doses, and then eating it too, having good sexual function. So what people need to understand is that estradiol is the biggest inhibitor of a good TRT protocol. So if you're gonna experiment with the higher doses, you've got to be managing the estrogen. If you do that and your dick and libido is just not up to par. Caveat though. The caveat with the higher doses, in which ultimately, like for me, landed me at a lower dose of test. I'm at 112 milligrams a week. I'm rubbing 25 milligrams of cream on the scrotum in the morning. I run 330 IU HCG every day, running 20 milligrams DHA in the morning. Wouldn't call it super low dose because I do have a lot of HCG. I've got some cream in there. But ultimately, what landed me on the lower end of the threshold is I just got sick of taking DHT derivatives, AIs, a bunch of add-ons, and wanted to simplify my protocol for a while. And now, am I super anabolic? athletic and I'm just like growing fucking leaps and bounds and putting on a bunch of lean tissue. Not necessarily. I think I'm okay. That's me with my current physique with a pump. But remember, I ran a cycle last summer and I put on some keepable gains, and I've been able to strategically keep a good degree of that muscle throughout, last winter and this summer. But I'm not on a lot of tests, and I'm able to keep a physique like that. This is me with a pump, probably about 30 minutes after doing chest at the gym, which also works shoulder. And look, I could go on the higher doses too. I've dialed in 300 milligrams a week. I've dialed in 560 a week. I've dialed in 700 milligrams a week in total androgens, a combo of prop and test cream. But it's a lot of work to sustain, right? It's expensive in the end. There's a lot of ancillaries that you've got to have in the protocol. You have to be managing the metabolites. If you're executing higher doses, it comes with consequences. So you've got to manage both your health and you've got to manage the estradiol. If you can do that, like our boy on YouTube is doing, the strength of the erections and the force of the primal libido are going to be pretty significant. So props to Scoodle Scorn 4070 for what looks like a pretty fucking awesome protocol and lands the numbers precisely where you need to be. Again, I'm not sure if this guy was targeting this, but he did what you have to do to dial in on TRT, which is get estrogen in your Goldilocks zone, have enough DHT, and keep the testicles functional. Great fucking job, brother. Thanks for sharing. All right, as I said in the beginning, boys, yes, look, this is the biggest discount I have ever run on coaching. It is 50% off a one-on-one coaching package with me. You've got me in your corner to resolve libido and EQ problems on TRT, libido and EQ problems from the use of hair loss drugs, libido and erection issues generally. Resolving sexual function issues is my forte. It is my expertise. I have been doing it for years, since I was called upon from folks having serious sexual dysfunction many, many years ago. And we'll get you settled. Like, if you can't dial in on the ester that you're using, you've switched esters, you've used cream, you've sort of run the gamut of options. And this is what I do. We'll dial you in. We'll dial in not only the anabolism, the energy, the masculinity, the confidence, all the good stuff, the health, but also the libido and erections. I know how important that is. It is my job to make you supercharged in that arena, and I promise you we will. But those things usually take time. So the coaching programs are now 50% off. You use the coupon code Coach Discount. It will knock thousands of dollars off of each program. Go book. Let's get on the fact-finding call within 24 hours or sooner, and then we hit the ground running. Source list, boys. Get everything you could possibly think of. Test of all esters, any anabolic you can think of. 20% DHT, high-potency stuff. 30% off right now. Code is SOURCE30. SOURCE30. I'll leave it on the screen for a sec. It's down in the description of this video or at livecortex.com. All right, now the conclusion of the video, because thanks for being with me. And you guys, hold on. Can't even talk. What is wrong with this chair? God damn it! Sorry, get my shit together. Thanks for being with me. Listen, guys, liking the video makes a huge difference. The algorithm. Forgot the mic. Just grab it. Give me a second. Give me this! Whatever. We're done here. Been an absolute pleasure hanging out with you, boys. Thanks for watching. Yeah, please do me that favor. Like the video. It really does make a huge difference, and it's a bigger difference than I previously thought. So if you're still here, please hit the like button for me. Otherwise, sub to the channel. We are one of the fastest growing TRT channels on YouTube that talks about libido, EQ, sexual optimization, dialing in TRT from a scientific perspective. You're not going to want to miss future videos. I'd love to have you on board. Otherwise, kick ass, rock on. Enjoy the rest of your day. More content tomorrow, and I'll talk to you boys on the next one.